So what are the biggest questions or concerns about the transition to CBE senior school pathways that you have received from parents, learners, and even fellow educators? Are our grade 9 learners capable of actually selecting a pathway that then maybe defines their life?
Thank you, Paris. I think probably I'm lucky it is because of two things. One, as a parent who has grown in CBC, firstborn is actually in grade 9, among the founding classes for CBC, and also as an educator, where we have our junior school and we have seen them grow in it. One of the questions that we are basically asked every day is about the three pathways. I think there is still a lot that needs to be done to educate our citizenship on specifically what are these three pathways. Two, what are the implications as far as careers are concerned? Like if a child takes this particular pathway, what exactly is this child looking at the tertiary and university level? The bigger one, which I know is a national conversation going on right now, is the placement into senior school. What criteria will be used in placing students into the senior school? Because I know come January next year, there will be a lot of pressure, parents wanting to place their children in various schools, and probably the capacity to all may not be adequate. I know today's Daily Nation has tried to give updates on that. We had a meeting yesterday with the Ministry of Education at the sub-county level, again, just being taken through some of the criteria that will be used. So those are some of the questions that I know parents, probably even our guests here, could be having, and we are looking forward, basically supporting each other as we better understand what are the implications of the senior school pathways. Thank you.
So over to you, Dean Margaret. We are now in second term. Grade 9 learners are expected to select pathways. What is the primary concern that you have had regarding pathway selection, and how is Nova Pioneer prepared to help students through this process? And how can a parent who's here on the call listening to us, how can they help their child also prepare for the same?
Thank you so much. One of the major concerns that we've had with parents and students is how do we support the learners to know the most suitable pathway for them, and how do we support them to select? At Nova Pioneer, we are very actively engaged and involved in the learners' process of selecting the pathway. And our post-school success department has been very helpful in this. We've had sessions with grade 9 students. This time we have had sessions on self-discovery so that the learners are able to identify their strengths, and they also identify their career aspirations, their abilities, and their talents. So we've taken them through a series of personality tests, career tests, for them to be able to identify their strengths and their personalities so that they can start to align their personalities to their career aspirations. In addition to that, we've had opportunities for job shadowing for junior school students, so that as they go to those professionals, they are able to get first-hand experience and first-hand inspiration on what each career entails. And this is very important even to parents, that just before the students select, let them know, let them have that exposure of what each career entails, what the daily life of that career entails, so that as they make that decision, they are well informed. They know what it takes to take each path. And at Nova Pioneer, we also have career talks where we invite professionals from various careers, and they come and talk to the students. They tell them about what each career entails, the requirements, and what daily life looks like when you take that career path. So it's very important even to parents to have open conversations with their children on what they really care about. Know what your kid or your child is excited about. What challenges do they enjoy solving? And what kind of environment do they thrive in, so that they make a well-informed decision and they also pursue something that they have interest in. So at Nova Pioneer, we encourage those conversations. We have been inviting our parents also. We've had a session with the students, and we are also inviting our parents. Tomorrow we have a parent meeting with the grade 9 students, so that we can also have that understanding of what it means to select the pathways and also the tracks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dean Margaret. And maybe just a question to you, Principal Toom, since you've shared with us that you're a parent of a grade 9 student. What are the chances of mismatched pathways? I know that's a fear that families could be having, and most especially families that could be on this call.
Thank you, Paris. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, as a parent, you'd be worried. What happens if my child gets to grade 11 and he or she realizes that probably I made a wrong choice? How do we backtrack and go back? So it is a real issue, and I would say it is really important that we get to support our children, we get to support our learners to make informed choices, to make informed decisions, so that you do not have a situation where I'm in grade 12, I'm supposed to be sitting for the final exam, and I'm like, no, I should have taken a different track. So it is very important. The sessions that Dean Margaret has talked about, I know we are having them in all our schools, involving our parents, involving the learners themselves, and thinking through the next 3 years. What exactly am I going to be facing? I'm happy that the curriculum designs from the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development are out. And therefore, even as a parent, as I have a discussion with my child on which pathways I would probably prefer him or her to take, it will also be good to just look at the content of what is ahead, so that you're able to tell, will my child be capable of actually facing these learning areas? We all know our children. We understand their passions, we understand their interests. And so as they get into the senior school pathways, we should have a reflective moment of, fine, I would like you to go into STEM, but are you able to handle the rigors of mathematics, in physics and chemistry? Probably you want to go into the social sciences, you're thinking of being a lawyer. Are you able to handle the rigors of all the notes, all the reading that needs to take place and so on? So understanding our children's capabilities, I think, is really very important, and also marrying that with their interests and their passions as well. So a good conversation to have as a parent,
Yeah,
and more importantly, as an educator. Thank you.
Definitely. All right, thank you so much. So now let's explore the pathway preferences as well as interest. We've talked about the 3 pathways that are going to be offered. So Principal Toom, if you can just quickly take us through the pathways and tracks that are going to be offered at Nova Pioneer and why, and also how are we equipped to ensure that each pathway has adequate resources. And as you answer that, I'll also share our senior school brochure in the chat box. I'm just going to add it there. Feel free to have a look at it.
Thank you, Paris. As you are aware, in the recent past, there's been all this conversation about mathematics being made compulsory and all that. We hope to get direction on that. But as it is right now, we have generally 3 pathways. We have the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We have the humanities and social sciences, and we also have the creative arts and sports. But beyond that, I think it would be good for our guests to understand that we have what we call the core learning areas, the core subjects, which have been categorized as English, Swahili, or Kenya Sign Language for those students who are able differently. Then we have community service learning and physical education. Those are basically the core subjects. But under the arts and sports science, we have sports and recreation, we have music and dance, we have theater and film, and we have the fine arts. So that means any child who probably will get into the arts and sports science pathway will have to pick between either sports and recreation, between music and dance, between theater and film, and between the fine arts. For the social sciences, quite a wide area of study as well. We have the language and literature, under which we have English language, we have literature in English, we have lugha ya Kiswahili, fasihi ya Kiswahili. French is also categorized under that. Then we have the humanities and business, where we have history and citizenship. For a number of us, we learned under history and government. It's now history and citizenship. We have geography. We have Christian religious education, Islamic religious education, and the foreign languages, French, German, Mandarin. They will all fall under the social sciences. The science, technology, and engineering, mathematics pathway is a little bit also wide, and it would really require a deeper conversation with families, because under it we have the pure sciences, that is mathematics, chemistry, biology, and physics. We have the applied sciences, computer studies, home science, agriculture. We also have aviation in it. And then we have the technical studies, where we have aviation, we have building construction, we have electricity, we have metalwork, we have power mechanics, woodwork, media technology, and also marine and fisheries technology. The beauty of this is that actually KICD has already come up with the curriculum designs. The Kenya Institute of Curriculum Design has come up with the curriculum designs. And so as we get into our schools, it will be good to basically look at, are they able to offer the pathway up to grade 12? Do they have the resources, workshops, tools, and so on? So a deeper conversation, but I'm happy that it is an ongoing one. And by the time we are getting probably to the end of the year, most of us as families will actually have figured out what exactly we want our children to pursue in senior school. Thank you, Perish.
Thank you so much, Principal. To maybe just bringing it back home, are we equipped as Nova Pioneer to deliver some of these tracks as well as pathways? Maybe just speak a little bit more into it, as well as the campus options and flexibility that we have across our campuses.
Thank you, Paris. I'm happy with the work that we have done as Nova Pioneer. Remember, this is a conversation that started way back a while. And where we are right now is basically just to look at the implementation of the senior school pathways come next year. Dean Margaret will tell you that her timetables are already in place. We already know who is going to teach what, and basically just in terms of the teaching and learning resources, we are at a good place. Basically, what we are moving to is, as we get towards the end of the year, is to start the procurement of probably books and other materials that we shall need. But we have also mapped our schools very well. Remember, we have 4 schools, probably even 5 or 6, that will be offering the senior school. We have Nova Pioneer Laureate Boys and Laureate Girls. We have Tattoo Boys and Tattoo Girls, and we have a River school. So for our tattoo schools, they'll be covering the triple pathways, that is the 3 pathways, science, technology, engineering, and maths, the social sciences, and the arts and sports. For Athi River school, they'll be offering STEM and the social sciences. We are looking at their capacity in terms of the facilities, and probably they'll not be able to offer the arts and sports science. For Eldoret schools, yes, we'll be able to offer all the 3 pathways, but again, it will depend on the sign-up, how many students are ready to go into the pathways that they have chosen. But more importantly, we are settled on offering STEM, the humanities and social sciences. The conversation around arts and sports science will depend on how many families are signing up for that pathway. But we have the facilities, we have the resources. Maybe just looking at our needs, in terms of the applied sciences, I know we are in a very good position to offer computer studies. Remember, this is a school that has embraced and implemented ICT integration in learning fully. And so we are at a very good place. With the junior school and the introduction of agriculture and nutrition, we have seen the wonderful things that our children are doing, our students, our learners, in agriculture and nutrition. So we feel we'll be at a very good place to continue with agriculture and home science as well. So there are a few of the technical areas which we feel in terms of resources and the needs, like the applied sciences, or rather the technical studies, we may not be in a very good position to do things like power mechanics, electricity, and so on, but probably something like aviation. I know Tato Boys is actually looking into it. So we look at a number of things before we basically settled on the pathway that you're going to offer per school. One is in terms of our facility. Do we have room to offer that pathway? Two, in terms of the personnel. Remember, our teachers go through a lot of professional development sessions just to ensure that they're able to implement the curriculum as it is. So we are also looking at that. And then overall, what else will you need to be able to offer this pathway? So it has been work in progress. I'm happy with the guidance and the leadership of our Senior Director of Schools, Dr. Landon Moore, who has been leading the work on the CBC pathways. And I know we already have a work plan that takes us all the way to the end of the year and early next year. So we are basically ready for the ones that I've mentioned, Paris. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Principal Tum. And maybe just to look at now clarifying the specific pathway details. You've gone into the different pathways that we're going to offer. So maybe Dean Margaret, you can just quickly tell us, like what additional programs beyond academics that are important to support senior school students to succeed. The ones, of course, that we already have implemented here at Nova Pioneer.
Thank you, Paris, for that question. In addition to the instruction and empowering our students in classes and out of class, we have various programs that we run with, and one of them is leadership and innovation. We have a curriculum running from grade 6 all the way to grade 12. And each of those grades or forms, they have a theme that they are working on. And I'm very excited about grade 9, who are looking at pathfinding, establishing their strengths and their personalities. And at the end of each and every grade, they have a public product. And for this particular grade, they'll be developing a profile for themselves, and they'll be coming up with an SDG that they'll be focusing on, and which is very instrumental because they'll be focusing on that SDG, and it can also guide them on their area of interest. What problem do you want to solve in the society? And other than leadership and innovation, we also have the post-school program, the post-school success program, which is a department that empowers and ensures that the students are well informed in matters of career path and career selection, and also guides the students on how to select universities. And in addition to that, we have various programs for out of class, that is extracurricular activities. We have so many sports and clubs that are offered in all our schools. We have sports, we have clubs, and most of them help the students also to develop their abilities, their interests and strengths. So we have various programs other than the curriculum, other than the instruction that happens in the classes. We have other programs that also help to complement the learnings that happen in the classes. Thank you so much, Paris, for that.
Thank you, Dean Margaret. And so over to you, Mr. Tum. So you can just tell us, how will students be able to select their preferred schools? Are we going to get calling letters in quotes, as we used to in our 844 curriculum? Will Nova Pioneer enroll my child? Now, from a parent's point of view, will Nova Pioneer enroll my child if I did not select the school during the selection process?
Thank you, Paris. And that relates to a question that has been asked by one of our guests here, Andrew, who says, hi, thanks for the meeting. Can you guys, as Nova Help kids who are not already studying with you, have the personality test, or can you recommend one? Maybe starting from that point, I know after this, we'll be able to share a number of the materials that we've been using with our parents. And I want to believe those materials will be very helpful to our guests as well. Two, to your point, yes, I know this is an ongoing process, basically from the Ministry of Education. If you look at the information that we already have, is that starting probably next week, they'll be rolling out the selection process for joining senior school. And so for probably those who would want to study under the public schools, there's a process that is going on. For us as Nova Pioneer, I know working together with your team, we are basically very ready to start doing the assessments as we help our parents to hold their sports and take them through the admission process. So yes, we will be able to admit even those students who are joining us from other schools and probably they would wish to study with us for senior school. We'll be able to support them. Some of the programs that Dean Margaret has already talked about, we already have a plan in place to come and support them so that they're able to be up to speed with some of the learners who have been with us. Things like the innovation and leadership programs. I know we already have the curriculum for grade 10, which is already ready. And we would like to bring even those who are joining us from other schools to be up to speed for innovation and leadership. We'll also be supporting them very much under the post-school success program because it is key. Senior school is really key because it marks the transition now to the tertiary levels, to university, and even to the world of work. So it will be very good to support them. So yes, we should be able to support, and I know we will. Parents, even our guests here with the materials that we've been using to support our learners and to also support them as they join us. We have a very good program under the teaching and learning model, what we call the 5E model, which I know Dean Margaret really appreciates and understands that it is one of the key things that sets Nova Pioneer apart from any other school. So we are excited. We can't wait to receive the young Novaniers as they join us for grade 10. Thank you. Thank you, Paris.
Thank you. So maybe also just talk to us about the grading criteria. I know the assessment methods also in CBC, CBE are quite different from what majority of us experienced in the past system, 844 system. So this is an area of concern for majority of parents, and they may not fully understand how their child's progress is being evaluated. So maybe just take us through the different, there's CAPSIA, there's KJ, SEA outcomes. What are the different outcomes that at the point where they get to go into grade 10, the previous outcomes, how do they affect them moving into grade 10 class?
Thank you, Paris. One of the things you'll notice that is really different from 844 in the CBE curriculum is basically the progressive nature of the assessments as compared to the 844 system where the assessments were summative. You know, you sit for KCPE, marks the end. You sit for KCSE, marks the end, and so on. The CBE, if you look at the way we are capturing the student assessments, it is progressive. At grade 3, there was a checkpoint. In grade 6, there was CAPSIA. In grade 9, we are preparing for KJSEA. In grade 12, we shall have another assessment. So all these progressively add, or rather cumulatively, add to what the student is working on. And if you look at the NEC portal, we keep putting in the assessments. We have the school-based assessments, which we keep uploading in the NEC portal, and cumulatively, it will be added into what the child is looking at. So for placement into the pathway, some of the things that we shall be looking at, I know the Kenya National Examination Council will be rolling out a questionnaire very soon to check on the self-interest assessment of the learners. I know they had done it earlier on, but there's another one that's coming. From our end, we will also be working together with the Office of Instruction and Learning and even the post-school success team. We'll also be doing the Nova Pioneer self-interest assessment to see where the learners are interested in. Like Dean Margaret mentioned, the information sessions are already in progress. Thereafter, we shall also be releasing a survey link to our families to be able to tell us where they feel they're interested in, The students will also be involved. We shall also inform our teammates. I know it's critical for them because they need to understand what are they looking to as we get into next year. Then the specific subject eligibility, where we look at 60% will come from the Kenya Junior School Education Assessment. Then we have 20% from the school-based assessments, 10% from what they were able to do in grade 8, and 20% from what they did in grade 6 under the CAPSEA results. That is one of the beauty about CBC, that you see that it does not terminate, but you progressively are able to build on what you've been working on. So we are excited to see the tools that will be released for us to support our learners as they make that very important decision. There is also the stakeholder involvement. As a school, I know we are big on that. Definitely involving our parents through the information sessions, the in-person sessions that we've already had in terms of the academic clinics, the one-to-one sessions that our parents always have with the subject teachers, the learner, and themselves. And then listening to the child. Their voice is very important. By the time they get to grade 9, if you equate to the 844, these are basically students who would now be in Form 1. And at their age, the age of 13, 14, 15 years, they're starting to figure out what they really want. And through the innovation and leadership programs that we've taken them through in grade 7, grade 8, by now they have already started understanding their personality. They know where their strengths are, they know where their interests are, they know where their passions are. And so taking a moment just to step back and listen to the learners also is very important. And I think as Nova Pioneer, we have actually created that opportunity. We will continue having the conversations with them and their parents before we finally settle on a particular pathway for each child. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So you're agreeing with me that a grade 9 student is more than capable to select a pathway, of course, within if they're getting the guidance that they're supposed to get.
You'll be amazed. I always joke with some of them that they are taller than the school leader. So they're really grown, and they are at a position when they really know what they want. At times, it creates conflicts with their families, but we are always here to support the two so that we get to an agreement and we support our learners moving forward. So it's an exciting conversation to have. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. Dean Margaret, you can just talk to us about whether a student can change a pathway once they have selected one at the start of grade 10. Will they stick with it all the way to grade 12? What would you recommend at this point if they wanted to probably change at some point?
Thank you, Perisa. There is that flexibility, and we are giving them a window of 2 months to switch from one pathway to the other. But just to reiterate what Principal Tum talked about the subjects that the students will be taking. Each student will be taking 7 subjects, and 4 of them will be core subjects, and they'll be required to select 3. And these 3 could be from the same track. For example, the student chooses the STEM pathway, but within STEM pathway, we have 3 tracks. So this student chooses pure sciences. So this student can choose 3 other subjects in the pure sciences, but that is not limited to that. The student can still choose 2 subjects in that track and choose 1 subject from another track. And still, it's not also limited to that. They can still choose 2 from the same pathway and the same track and choose 1 subject that is from a different track. So we are giving them a very short time, that is within the first 2 months, they should be sure of whatever they want to pursue, after which now we will not allow them to switch from one pathway to the other, because again, we need them to settle down, and also say switching pathway means that this student can choose a pathway that would require more expertise or more facilities and therefore it's good for them to choose the pathways as early as possible. And that's why we have all these sessions to ensure that our learners are well informed. But within the first 2 months of 2026, will allow them time to think through and see whether that is exactly what they want to pursue, after which they will not be allowed to switch from one track or from one pathway to the other. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Your audio is a bit shaky. Just look at your microphone, whether it's working properly. But I know earlier today you attended a meeting and you got some more information on math. The math that students will be taking in grade 10, will it be like pure maths for STEM students? Will it be maths that is understood by basically everyone in that class? Briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Paris. I hope now I'm audible. We attended earlier today a session with the ministry at Ruiru Sub-County, and we had that conversation about math being one of the core subjects. And they told us that the curriculum design is in the process of being developed for the math that will be taken as a core subject. So it will not be the same math that will be taken by students who will be taking pure math or pure sciences. And math will be one of the subjects in the pure sciences track, which is in the STEM pathway. And therefore, the math that will be core, if this is going to be agreed upon, will be different. And the curriculum design is being developed for this math that will be taken as a core subject.
Thank you. So learners can breathe easy knowing that it will not be tough math, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for you, Mr. Toom, and you, Dean Margaret, for those insightful presentations that you've shared with us. We'll now take a few questions from our audience. If you have any question, just put it in the chat box, and then either Principal Toom or Dean Margaret will be able to answer. All right. Thank you, Mr. Morris Wafula. Thank you for your question. He's asking, can a child change the pathway once they've selected, like in grade 11? But I believe you've shared that with us, Dean Margaret. They have a 2 months period. Is 2 months enough to have made a decision? Is that a Nova Pioneer standard, or is that Ministry of Education requirement?
It's a Ministry of Education requirement because the selection is starting as early as this term. So they have the whole of this term and next term to firm up their decision. And therefore, we are hoping by January, they'll have come up with the best decision. And that's why they are only given a window of 2 months to make sure that they have concluded on that decision.
All right, thank you. We'll continue taking in your questions. Yes, we'll share this recording once we are done with the meeting. You'll be able to listen to it later just to get a bit more understanding. But as we wait for more questions to come in, Principal Toom, maybe you can just tell us university admissions. I know it's still, very early to discuss this, but would you have an idea of what then university admissions will look like? I know majority of families are quite worried about this. How will their students be placed in the different institutions that we have?
Thank you, Paris. For a number of us, we imagine that the CBC
Mr. Toom.
Yes. So all the, are you getting me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh yeah. So I was saying the conversation started a long time ago, and therefore all institutions of learning really are getting aligned. If you look at the technical and vocational training institutions, they already started what is known as CBT, the competency-based training. And that means they're actually getting ready for the learners will be transitioning from CBE. Same with our institutions of higher learning. They're already getting aligned in terms of preparing their curriculum, in terms of the training of their personnel. And so I want to believe by the time we are transitioning at grade 12, the institutions of higher learning will definitely be at a good place to receive our learners. I know this is a program that the government is really keen on ensuring that it is fully implemented. And so I have no doubt that even our institutions of higher learning, our tertiary institutions, will be super ready by the time our learners are in grade 12, ready to receive them in the different pathways, for the different courses, for the different kinds of training that our learners will be interested in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tum. We do have a question here from Mr. Nyamu. Thank you for that question. Is CBC internationally recognized?
Let me allow Dean Margaret to handle that one.
In response to that, I would say that just like the way we had 844, now with the CBE, we have various exit points. We have an exit point at grade 12, where we are saying that the students will get dual certification depending on the pathway that they are going to take. There are those who will get 2 certificates, one from NEC and one from industrial training institutes. And I think these people can still go direct to the world of work, and they can work in the country and also outside the country. And also, as Principal Tum has put across, that as students exit from grade 12 and they continue advancing their skills in tertiary and universities, tertiary institutions and universities, after that, they can be able to advance even outside the country, and therefore we can say that CBC is internationally recognized.
Thank you so much for that. We do have more questions coming in. Kindly let us know if there will be different cost implications for the different pathways. Just allow me to take this. Most likely there will be, because the different pathways need to be also equipped differently, but we are still at the very early stages of planning in terms of school fees. And so once our school fees has been released, we'll also be able to share that with parents, and that will be easily accessible from our website. Ms. Helen Munyi, thank you so much for your question. She's requesting whether we can share our KCPE performance for the last 2 years. Yes, I believe that's available. One of our admissions associates will be able to share that with you. And then we do have a question from Miss Grace Mogire, sorry. How do you help a student that's excelling in all subjects to choose a career? That's a great question, Miss Grace. Over to you, Dean Margaret. How do you help a student that's excelling in all subjects?
Thank you so much, Ferris. It's a very good question, because we have a good number of students who excel in all the learning areas. And there's something that Principal Tum talked about, the criteria of choosing the pathway. It's not only based on the performance. There are other things, that will be looked at. And one of the questions that we are asking our students, even as we look at their performance, is, what do you care about? What problems do you want to solve in the world? And this will narrow down their focus or their area of interest, because you realize that a student can be doing well in all the learning areas, but we also have a very keen interest on what is this learner's interest, so that they don't just pursue a career because they are doing well, but they should pursue because this is also their passion, their interest, and their personality also aligns with that. So in addition to the performance, we are also looking at their interests. We are looking at their passion. We are looking at what do they really want to pursue. what problems do they want to solve in the future? Because in CBC, it's not just about the knowledge, it's about the skills, and not just skills for themselves, but skills to solve real world problems. And you realize that a student can be good in all the subjects, but there is that one thing that the student would want to solve. There is this one problem in the world that this student would want to solve. Then we would narrow down to a path that caters for that. Thank you, Paris. I hope that responds to that question.
Yeah, I hope so too, Miss Grace. If we haven't addressed it properly, please do let us know. We do have another question from Miss Sheila. When would be ideal to come in for a school visit, to come in for a visit to the school? So we are going to share our contacts in the chat box, and feel free to call that number, and we can always organize for a private tour if you want to come in during a weekday. But we do have an open day that is scheduled next week on Saturday, that's the 24th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. across our 4 campuses, that is Tatu Boys and Tatu Girls, as well as our Eldoret schools, Eldoret Boys and Eldoret Girls. So feel free to call the number that's going to be typed in the chat box, and we'll be able to give you more information. All right, still another question from Ms. Sheila. Will my son be able to access university options abroad through CBE, or will we have limited options, probably in Kenya? Over to you, Principal Tum.
Yeah, thank you. Working with our post-school success team, one of the things they'll always do is to connect, the 3 C's, the connection. They connect our learners with opportunities outside the country. We normally organize the career fairs, the university fairs, where we have representatives even from universities abroad who will always be coming to campus to take the learners through the requirements and so on. Looking at what they've been doing in the past, this should not be a struggle. Our learners will still be able to find placement in universities abroad, in colleges abroad, and they'll still be able to get those opportunities. The beauty of it is that we always walk this journey with the learners, and I'm happy that our post-school success team has already come up with their plan of activities for grade 10 learners, taking them through the journey in senior school. And by the time they will be at grade 12, probably they will even have put in applications like we see with our Form 4s. Some of them whom have already received initial acceptance, including offers of scholarships and so on. So it's something that I know is unique to Nova Pioneer, the post-school success program. We should be able to support your child to even get those placements in universities outside our country and even within. So we have a program in place. They will be supported. Thank you, Paris.
All right, we are almost wrapping up. I'll take 2 more questions before we conclude. So we have another question from Ms. Grace. Would you advise for a child in the CBE system, grade 9, to consider change to the IGCSE system going forward? Over to you, Principal Tum. That's a great question. Thank you so much, Ms. Grace.
Thank you. Allow me to let my colleague, Dean Margaret, respond to that. I think the underlying thing is really looking at the subjects, but Dean Margaret can add on this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Principal Tum. It's a very exciting question. I would advise the grade 9 students to transition to grade 10 because at grade 10, that is senior school, they'll be able to narrow down their focus on specific areas, and they'll be able to acquire the skills at high school, that is at senior school. They'll be able to acquire the skills that they require in their career paths. So with the CBE pathways, I would advocate for students who are in CBE to continue or to transition to the senior school, and they will be empowered with all the skills that they need for their careers in future.
Thank you so much. There's another question from Miss Faith. Kindly shed more light on school discipline. Dean Margaret.
Oh, thank you so much. On school discipline, we have a plan, a behavior management plan, and our mode of correcting behavior, we use restorative justice. And our students, we set expectations with our students from the beginning, and we advocate for having conversations and dialogue to ensure that we are not just giving consequences that are not logical to the infraction, but depending on the infraction, the students understand the consequence and they understand the impact that it has on themselves and on the society and the person that maybe they have a collision with or they have disagreement with. So we take the students through a process of restorative justice where the students understand the impact of whatever actions that they are taking. And this has really helped in molding the character of our students. And our culture principles at Nova Pioneer has also helped in building the character of our students, because it really changes the mindset. Before they even do the infraction, they are thinking about the culture principle and the impact of this particular infraction to the wider society and also to the next person. Thank you so much.
All right. We're going to take this last question from Miss Grace. Do we offer scholarships and what is the criteria? Yes, we do offer scholarships. The criteria is mainly around our 3 C's, and that's character, capability, and connection. But do talk to us. I've shared a phone number there that you can please easily reach out to us, and we'll be able to give you more details in terms of our scholarship program. All right, if we don't have any more questions, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to join this session. I believe that you're going to leave this session with a lot more clarity in terms of next steps. Where is your child headed in terms of going into grade 10? And even for the ones that have joined us and their children are still at grade 7 level or grade 8 level, at least this session has given you a lot more clarity. If we didn't get to your question, please make sure you follow up with us after this webinar. We'll be able to address that. So as we end this session, I'd like to just sincerely thank each and every one of you, most especially Mr. Toom and Dean Margaret for joining this call and just breaking it down so clearly for us and passionately about CBE. We've been able to dissect it, and now families have a better understanding of it. And for the families the prospective families who are on the call, we are currently accepting applications for our 2026 entry across all our campuses. That's Tatu City, Eldoret, and Athi River. And if you're looking for a school that nurtures both academics as well as leadership in your child, Nova Pioneer then is the place. So kindly do visit our website. I'm going to share the link. Do visit our website and then just go ahead and put in your application. And we look forward to meeting you next Saturday. That's on the 24th. That's next week. We look forward to meeting you and just being able to engage with you. And on behalf of all of us here at Nova Pioneer, thank you again for spending your afternoon with us. Until next time, keep encouraging your child to find their Nova. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you and bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.